Welcome everyone. This is Yvonne Davis and David Steele. We are accredited facilitators with Rocky Mountain Compassionate Communication Network, and you are joining us for Unleash Your Creativity, a combination of The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron and Nonviolent Communication by Marshall Rosenberg. So we are still in week 6, and today we are going to talk about anger.
Why do you want to talk about anger?
Well, the reason why I want to talk about anger is because, and also why it relates to abundance.
Yeah, just answer the question.
is because, one, anger has an abundance of energy in it, and fire and motivation and strength and courage and just the energy to take action. So that's how it relates to abundance. And the reason why I want to talk about it today is because in our culture, we have a very sort of, I would call it sort of a warped relationship to anger. It's like we're afraid of anger. We're afraid of our own anger, and we're afraid of other people's anger. And so we often stuff our anger, and yeah. Exactly, that's the way it works. Yeah. And I know personally because depression, now I'm not saying that this is true for everyone, because some people may have a chemical imbalance or trauma, unhealed trauma or whatever. But I know for myself, my depression, which I struggled with for decades, and saw therapists and took medication and so on and so forth, but really strove to find natural remedies. And I eventually stumbled upon nonviolent communication. And
totally organic.
Yeah.
Absolutely natural.
Mm-hmm. No byproducts. So anyway.
Well, richer relationships are a byproduct
of
more fulfilling existence.
Okay, that's true. I meant like polluting byproducts. So anyway, I learned a vocabulary for my feelings. I learned to be able to name them, to feel them, to express them, to let that energy flow through me. And that's when, after a few years of NVC, I noticed that I no longer experienced depression. It had actually cured my depression. So what I was going to say is that the depression, I realized, was just a long-term repression of all the feelings that I've been having throughout the course of my life that I never been able to really allow myself to feel. So over, years and years and years of repressing my feelings, I became depressed. And
so you had a scarcity of feelings. Your feelings did not enjoy abundance. They were categorized into very limited, confined.
Yeah. I really only had 2 emotions: fine and depressed. So if someone asked me, how are you? I would either say, I'm fine, or I'm depressed. Because I didn't know. I didn't have the huge, wide spectrum of vocabulary and like the flavor, like the subtle flavors of all these different feelings. I didn't experience that. So
make it sound yummy.
It is, yes. Feeling our emotions is yummy, including anger and all its different flavors. So why are we so afraid of anger in our culture? Why are we afraid of our own anger and afraid of other people's anger?
You just asked a very complicated question.
Mm-hmm.
There are several reasons. One is that often in fits of anger is when we do harm to one another. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we say things that we wish we hadn't said later that we are saying because we're angry. Certainly the military deliberately seeks to make soldiers angry because then it's easier for them to go into battle and kill each other. And so if we really want to be in that do no harm vibe, then anger can be very intimidating and scary. And I know people like that are so afraid of doing harm that it's uncomfortable being around them because everything is fine all the time, no matter what. And it just doesn't feel real. But they cleave to that so intensely that, it's just the way they are. So I've known people like that. Another reason that we are afraid of anger. And that's because anger often masks fear and can be very, very related to grief. I mean, how many Academy Awards for acting have been given when you have this scene where someone just absolutely explodes and they are so angry and they're breaking the furniture and they end up weeping. Just all of a sudden, very vulnerable. And the other people see through their whatever and comfort them, and then you get an award because that's so authentic.
Yeah.
So the fear of anger also can be tied up with the fear of grief. Those are the two big ones. There's also an assumption that anger means that there's something wrong. That we shouldn't be that way. So anger often too can summon guilt. So those are my thoughts on why we're angry.
So we started this video saying that anger is actually an incredibly abundant energy because it gives us the energy and the motivation to go out and do things, and the courage and the fire in the belly to go out and do things and make things happen. And so when we are dissociated from our anger, we lose touch with that incredible energy and that power that's in that energy. So
here I am. I'm very small, and I want to express myself and be more me and less inhibited. And I'm gonna look at this thing called the artist's way, and I'm like this little seed in a shell, and I want to reach into that abundant world, but there's this shell that's holding me, and it's kind of brittle, and somehow, like the shoot of a plant, I have to penetrate that shell, and so I can get angry and move through barrier and fear because of the anger and step into that world of abundance. So in terms of dehusking or breaking out of a shell, or changing a pattern in our being that is very constrictive, often anger just gives us a burst of energy to make that transformation.
Yeah. So, but part of the problem is if we are also doing the work where we're not blaming the externals, where we have an internal locus of control and we're taking responsibility, then that anger means that we can't blame people anymore either. Because, if we're going to be like, that government is so screwed up, they're ruining everything, and the stock market's crashing, and the economy is destroyed, and that's why I can't get a better job, and I hate those people in the government.
And don't forget about those greedy corporate people who are raping the earth and destroying the planet, who don't care about anything, that are just going to absolutely control us. And then there's the media, and oh my God, it's overwhelming, and I'm so programmed, and I'm afraid to step out of my program. And my parents just didn't really raise me well. I mean, I'd be so successful if only my parents had been better at raising me and giving me the discipline that I needed. And, you know, besides that, I have 2 feet. I mean, if I had 4 feet, just think of how much more agile I would be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And also don't forget about the traffic, you know.
Oh,
I mean,
I
yeah.
hate to forget about the traffic.
Yeah.
So that anger that bursts you out of a shell,
Mm-hmm.
there's no blame. It's
Right.
pure energy. There's no story. There's no description going on in your head. It's like this just fire, this that moves through your nervous system. And in my opinion, burns away impurities, leaves a kind of sense of cleanliness behind when it's after it's moved through. And that's real different than the anger. The anger with the story and the blame and stuff, that's the stuff the military uses, you know, to get people to see others as enemies and villains and put them in life and death situations where you have to kill someone or they kill you. So the anger with the story is the one that constrains and leads to harm.
Well, sometimes we have to start by being angry or noticing that our anger is triggered by something external. And then we work back into the internal and say, well, what need am I longing to meet, you know? But again, that comes back to the internal locus of control and taking responsibility. And so I think the two kind of go hand in hand, that we're afraid of our anger because we might hurt someone, you know, if we say things in anger or whatever. But the other reason we're afraid of anger is because if we do bring it back to the self and we take responsibility, now we're going to have to be responsible adults. Oh, no. Oh, yeah, God.
Live in integrity.
Oh, my God.
No more white lies for you.
Oh, my God. That's really scary.
It is scary because that's why safety is the very first chapter. You know, you got to start the safety before you can do any of this. And to have a healthy relationship with anger requires trust of oneself and trust of others. Sometimes we just don't want to. Yeah. We just like, anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think sometimes you can't avoid it. It's like you keep noticing, like I've been noticing lately, and I don't know exactly what is instigating this transformation in me. Maybe it's the fact that we're doing this program. I don't know. But anyway, so
the program is a symptom of a deeper transformation that has already happened. It is simply the transformation poking into the space-time continuum and projecting a reality.
Yes. And so I've been noticing lately that I feel angry a lot, and I'm not altogether sure, like, why am I so angry all the time? But that's why I wanted to do this video on anger, because I thought, you know, we're so programmed. As soon as I notice I've been getting angry a lot lately, the next thought that comes up is, what is wrong with you? You know, you have a good life. Why are you so angry? Bitch.
Well, that's, you know, I like that one. That's curiosity. You know, I think for some people the thought comes up is, oh, I better go take another Prozac.
Yeah.
So that curiosity about why I'm angry is really an empowered perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, fortunately, that was the next thing I went to was, oh, I've been doing NVC for 7 years. I forgot. It's okay to get angry. Oh, good. It's okay to get angry. Okay. Now I can figure out, like, what's that all about? Yeah. And I can get curious about it. So anyway, it's still a story and it's unfolding. So we'll see where that goes. But I just wanted to share these things with you to let you know that even accredited facilitators of nonviolent communication, they get angry too. And they
I can't believe you revealed that.
yeah, and they
What's wrong with you?
they sometimes like judge themselves for it. So yeah.
You're the one that screwed up.
I know, you're perfect. I forgot about that. So
Of course.
yeah. Alrighty, so we're gonna bring this to a close today, unless
I'm perfect. She said so.
Yes. David gets to be the perfect one. In the next program, I get to be the perfect one.
We'll see.
Okay. Anything else you want to add before we say goodbye tonight?
Thanks for listening.
Yes. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining us. And thank you for subscribing. We've been getting lots of new subscribers. And thank you for ringing the bell for notifications. Thank you for sharing with your social media, friends and family. Thank you for liking this video. And please put your comments in the comment box below. We'd love to hear what you're thinking and feeling as you watch these videos. So we will see you tomorrow.